A very heartfelt welcome, everyone, to the second episode of Spirituality Demystified podcast series presented by Living Consciously. For today, we are discussing energy healing for well being. And to help us understand the world of energy healing in detail, we have with us today Pamela. To introduce our guest, Pamela, she has been practicing shamanic healing and divination for almost 20 years. She is an intuitive psycho-spiritual counselor and founder of REAP Healing Method. She is a course facilitator and healing arts trainer. She has devoted many years to the study of alternative medicine and promoting wellness, wholeness, care, intention. Her work has been endorsed by globally respected experts in alternative medicine and spiritual wellness, such as Sonia and Dr. Bruce H. Lipton. Besides that, she has a big heart and she is one of the most generous healers I have ever worked with. So, dearest Pamela, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to reach out and share with your community answers to your questions, and I'm just very excited to be here, and I'm honored and grateful. So thank you. It's a privilege for me.
I'm so super excited to dive into this powerful conversation. Okay, so we can start. I can start with my first question to you, Pamela, which is
Mhm.
who is Pamela? So tell us about your journey as a healer and how and why did you choose energy healing as your life path?
Well, first of all, I guess I could say that who I am is deep within is an explorer. I consider myself an energy explorer. I like exploring all, different sensations and frequencies and how it works and what it means and how it can help us. Um, so that's, probably the driving force underneath, what makes me joyful and happy. But my journey as a healer is a little strange. It's it's not something that I actually chose, to be honest. I had a totally different career. I had a different life, and when I reached my late 30s, I began experience some major life changes in my personal life that really opened me up, or I'm going to say reawakened me to what I believe were childlike abilities that I had with seeing and sensing and experiencing different energies, and of course deep connection with nature and a spiritual connection as well. Anyway, what happened, I want to, unless you want me to talk about the whole thing there, I had what I would call a divine intervention. And this divine intervention really shook me up, but in a good way. I had an experience that I can only say was from spirit that I couldn't deny. It was an undeniable hearing, seeing, experiencing of spirit's presence. And it's kind of saved my life, and possibly even my children's life. But after that, I went exploring. I had to find out what it was all about. And eventually, everything just lined up for me in terms of learning about healing. I met quite serendipitously different healing teachers and masters, and I was just so intrigued. And um, a series of events happened that propelled me into a new career in the healing arts. And it was amazing. And from there, it just expanded and continuously, actually. And again, it's a being in the flow, I guess you could say, of what my calling is here. So I've been very fortunate in that. But it wasn't something that I chose. I would say that it chose me, right from the beginning.
Yeah, wow. So that's very inspiring and powerful, dear Pamela.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very beautifully said by you that, it's like, you don't choose the path, but the path chooses you. You just allow and become a vehicle for the magic to happen through you. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. The magic does happen through us. And, I think we can all be a part of that and be a conduit for that if we choose to.
yeah, powerful, powerful. Okay, so this takes me to my next question. So these days, there is a lot of research, and we have many scientists like Dr. Bruce Lipton, Nassim Hariman, and many more who are advocating energy healing and the power it has. There are many studies that are showing how energy healing is found to be much more effective than chemistry healing, and it does not even have a side effect. So, for the benefit of our listener, what is energy healing if we have to explain it to a common man?
So, energy healing, first, I need to explain that we are all made up of energy. Everything is energy. And without getting into the scientific aspects of, um, you know, quantum mechanics, I can say that in simpler terms that if we are all energy and energy makes up the matter, it makes up who we are. So energy healing addresses that. So it looks at the energy makeup of a person's illness or condition or situation, and it can detect the energy healing can detect what is there just by being like aware of the energy that is there. And so what happens ultimately is the practitioner or the energy healer will begin to manipulate in a way the energy that needs to change for healing to occur. Um, Furthermore, and this I think is the biggest, for me anyway, the biggest argument that we could have against modern medicine. Not that I don't, we all need modern medicine to some extent, right? We want to kind of work in harmony with it. But the difference is, and you were talking about the side effects, is that with modern medicine, unfortunately, it treats the symptoms. It's always looking at the symptoms and it's treating it that um, from that point of view. With energy healing, we don't just look at the symptoms, we get right into the root cause. Why is the energy out of balance here in this person's body or emotions or mind, whatever the case may be? And how can we as healers get right into the root cause of it and shift it from there and change the energy from there. So, yeah, I hope that explains a little bit of the differences as well as, what energy healing is.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for answering this so beautifully, Pamela. I often, we often have this belief, I would say, that, it is energy healing is something which is new age. And but as you mentioned, like, I was having this conversation with you I think it's been a week or a month back, where you said that energy healing, it is one of the ancient medicine, and it's found in cultures, and it creeps throughout history. So when it comes to treating the ailments of modern life, these thousands of years old medicine methods are some of the best remedies that can be used. So we have TCM, we have there is this mention of vibrational healing in Vedic literature as well, in shamanism.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about taking your power back in our ability to heal anything, uh, whether it is at physical, emotional, mental, spiritual level, energetic level. So yes, so this takes me to my next question, Pamela. Is it something which is based on belief? You heal because you believe you will heal, or can we heal even if we don't believe in energy healing?
It's not only based on belief. I do feel that there is a component to believing in your healing that can absolutely support it, but even skeptics can experience healing on an energetic level um, in their own senses that could dispel their beliefs that it's not real or that it doesn't happen or that it's not true. So it's not required at all, but I do think that it helps support some people if they do believe in their own healing. But really, it comes down to experience. As I said before, that when somebody is having energy healing work done on them, there is an experience that they have internally, that they can't really describe or explain, but it's palpable, and that then helps them to further support a new belief that might come about this energy healing. But it is something, as you mentioned before, that's been around forever, and really forever, from the beginning of the first medicine man and medicine woman.
Mhm.
And they didn't have the same kind of knowledge that about science that is present today. They just experienced the connection with the energy, particularly the energies of nature,
Hmm.
and worked in harmony with them and used them, and that's how you know it people in their clan and their tribes would then become healed. And so this is what we're bringing back today.
Hmm.
um, so yeah, it is not based on belief.
Hmm.
um, and again, it's really based, I would say, on experience.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Wow. So it will have an effect regardless of our belief. And I have also noticed in some of the energy healing sessions and with people, I think I noticed that the effect becomes stronger when people consciously choose to allow it. But this is
Uh-huh.
different, yeah. But this is different from having to believe. I feel allowing means opening up, even if people don't believe in it. And I have seen people get surprised to feel so different afterwards. Uh,
Right, right,
yeah,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Wow. Okay. So now let's talk about the science behind energy healing. So can you tell us about the science behind energy healing? And even if we don't believe in it, it still works. So how is this happening?
So again, we're made up of energy, And that energy is actually, it's like a magnetic energy, right? And we have different, we have our body, our physical body, that's made up of
Hmm.
magnetic energy. And then we have our, the energy that's around us. Like we have fields of energy. And each field is corresponding to our different aspects of us. So we would have like an emotional field, we would have a mental field, one that's created the energy, that energy that's created of the mind. And then we have our spiritual field, right? And this is obviously much more esoteric, but nonetheless, it's there. And each of these energy fields holds within it different frequencies and vibrations, and which can be measured, scientifically measured,
Hmm.
as being, of a, higher or a lower vibration. And so the the energy healer or the practitioner will be able to detect where the lower frequencies are, and then again kind of go deeper in from that, using the information of that frequency, where it's being held, and again kind of having a connection and communication with the energy that's there, and discovering, why it's there in the first place, and working to change it. But but it doesn't just end there. There's also a communication that comes with the client or the recipient of this energy healing. And once they are aware of what the practitioner is discovering and seeing and finding, then what happens in them is a new awareness also begins to take hold. And so with that awareness, they end up changing the frequency of their energy as well. So it's a very cooperative effort. Um, but again, scientifically, I am not a quantum physicist, and or certainly a doctor of quantum mechanics, but I do know that these frequencies that we carry can be measured scientifically, and it's there that um, our energy can be shifted. It starts at the level um, of observation and of awareness.
Hmm. Wow. Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this takes me to my next question. How do we know, like, if somebody, for instance, how do I know that, I'm in need of healing at the spiritual, uh, mental or emotional level? And is it that there are parts of our being, there are parts of us that are calling to be healed? Like, how do we know that we need healing? Although at physical level, sometimes we understand, at emotional level, we understand, but how do we know that we need healing, at spiritual level? And how to recognize that, if there are some parts of us which are, how to listen to our parts which are calling out, or which are crying out for our attention, uh, or that are calling out to be healed.
Well, I mean, first of all, it would be wonderful if everybody would just, sort of meditate or take time out and just listen to themselves, what's going on in their mind or in their body, and just, or emotions, and just feeling, what might be calling for healing or calling for change. But the truth is, we live in a very busy society
Mhm.
where we're paying attention to everything external instead of internal. But even then, we become aware of the need for healing when things aren't going our way. When something is stopping us or blocking us or is unhappy, right?
Mhm.
Happiness, gauge of happiness is always, for me, the crowning factor in being able to tap into that. Oh, I'm not happy, so therefore I must need some healing. I mean, it's kind of basic
Mhm.
that way. Um, and that's usually when people come to me. I'm
Mhm.
not happy. How can we change this? There's a desire for change. Um, but if one is genuinely invested in um, kind of looking into that and tapping into that, okay, am I in need of something here? Then just meditation and just stopping. And going out in nature is always a good thing if you can, but just stopping and being quiet and having some quiet time, um, to examine, yourself. Okay, how am I physically? How am I emotionally? How am I mentally? How am I spiritually? And is there a need for change in any of these areas? I think is a great way to start.
Yeah, wow. Wow. Thank you for answering it so well, Pamela.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
yeah. So, Pamela, you are a healer, and so my last question to you is, you know, what do you feel that which are the most common problems or challenges which are faced by our society right now, and what are the ways that we can overcome it? I know that we as a society or as individuals, we are very disconnected from our core and from our authenticity. But what is that uh, you know that common problem, uh, or the challenge that we are facing right now, and how can and what are the ways and how can we overcome it, or is there any way?
I believe there is. I believe there is. I think that it's going to take a little effort and some commitment, perhaps, but I really believe that it is. On a human level, I think it's clear that the most common issues are range between anxiety and depression in people. And the way that I see it is that it all stems from fear, and we really it, it in all our societies and all our communities in this world, we are bombarded with fear that we won't have enough, fear that we aren't enough, fear that we're not good enough, fear of sickness that's going to stop us from living the life we want. And I mean, the list goes on, right? It's all based in fear. And unfortunately, the news or the media and much of what people are invested in is fear based. So it's really no wonder that there's so much anxiety that's happening. And in the depression, while I do feel that sometimes we have a physiological predisposition to it, I also see from my perspective that the energy of depression is about powerlessness. And so we are again feeling powerless over this fear. So they kind of go hand in hand there. And I think what can be done about it, and it takes a little bit of investment of time and commitment, but it's absolutely possible, is to place our focus on away from fear, consciously away from fear, and on love, on joy, on those things that are comforting and peaceful, and recognizing when we choose our conscious direction that we are choosing it from a much, much higher, you could say plane, but you could say frequency, energy, you could say source, and I guess when we talk about source, we're talking about like a universal power. And if it doesn't need to be religious, but it does need to be conscious, and we need to make that conscious choice to again focus away from fear and refocus on that source, that is love, and that is joy and all those good things. And I think that would bring us, help us to step in the right direction. It would start bringing us to back into balance. So yeah, that's my that's my viewpoint. That's my feeling about that.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for answering this so beautifully, and it was very powerful. And so I have this quote in front of me by Eric Michael, where he says that a healer powers stem not from any special ability, but from maintaining the courage that you're talking about, Pamela, and the awareness to embody and express the universal healing power that every human being on this earth naturally possesses.
Beautifully said. I
Yeah,
agree 100%.
yeah. So, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Pamela, for such an enlightening conversation. And thank you for helping us to understand the world of energy healing, and for answering all our questions so beautifully.
Oh, it's been my pleasure and my privilege, and I certainly, could answer so many more. So I do appreciate you having me on, and talking and sharing my passion
Yeah.
about all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm looking forward to have another podcast on this. I think there are a lot of questions, and this. Yeah. Yeah.
There are. I know
Yeah. Wow.
there is a lot more to be shared, but these were wonderful. Thank you so much for these questions. I love them. And again, thank you for the privilege of having me on, and uh, sharing my wisdom and experiences. And I truly enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure talking with you, dear Shalu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Same here. Yeah. So thank you, Pamela. And so, dear listeners, that's all for today's episode on Spirituality Demystified. If you have any stories or doubts that you would like to share with us or be a part of our community, connect with us on our social media pages: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, by the name of Living Consciously, with an extra Y for some extra love. Do join us again for such more enlightening discussions. Thank you.